This is Trophy Gold, Halls of the Blood King, Part 3. The last thing we saw the characters doing, they were beginning their exploration of the Blood King's castle, and a few sort of key things happened. The first big key thing that happened is they discovered that there's some sort of ghostly person in the southwestmost chamber. They haven't interacted with this person yet, but later on they discovered that this person is always thinking that everyone is their son. And so they've lost a son or something like that. That's one thing. Another thing is you made an alliance with a vampire hunter who we don't know her name yet. She actually has not told you her name yet, but we're just calling her the vampire hunter for now. And then the third big thing is you discovered that in the dungeon of the castle there is a what we as players know is called the void fungus, just based off of the set goal, but it is to your characters is like a sentient hive mind fungal creature that wishes to spread across the multiverse, right? It is contained right now, though. The Blood King's magic is containing the thing. You all have surmised that the Blood King may not be able to destroy it, and that this is perhaps some leverage you can use against him. And the last big thing is you had a scene with a character calling herself the Blood Princess, and the Blood Princess was taking a bath in these blood blood-filled bathing vessels, and Trish joined her in one of the bathing vessels. And Trish, here I'll note, if you didn't note it last time, by participating in the blood bath, you get to lower your ruin by 1. You are rejuvenated. And so that's one thing you might want to note if you haven't already. And at the very end, you fought this sort of living blood creature, managed to destroy it with fire, and the Blood Princess applauded you for your heroics and bravery. We also know that the Blood Princess has she's like not happy. She sounds like she's got it out for the Blood King, and she kind of intimated that the Blood King isn't actually her father as well. So that's another kind of small detail that wasn't super pronounced in the session, but it came up. And so that's sort of what happened last time. Did I forget anything, or is there anything you want to be reminded of?
So I'm wondering what bathing in blood might have done to my condition, bloodlust.
I don't know. I mean, I think the bloodlust is probably a good basis for just doing the bloodbath in general.
Exactly.
And but I think if you want to reframe the condition or recontextualize it, I'm totally into that.
Maybe. Yeah, let me think about that for a moment, but yes.
Yeah. So I do want to check in with everybody, just sort of, the things we have to keep track of in Trophy Gold, be mindful of. How much gold have you found either in straight up money or treasure? How many hunt tokens do you currently have? What is your current ruin? Any conditions you have, and what burden goal must you meet by the end of this? Let's start with Triss. Triss, read off that block. What's going on?
So I have no gold as such in coin, but I do have 3 different things that are worth 1 gold. My burdens are 7 though, so I'm still have to find some gold, some treasure, but I do have 2 hunt tokens, and my ruin just went from 4 to 3 because of the bathing in the blood.
Very good, thank you. And Vanek the Sullen, read your block to us.
I currently have 0 gold, but I do have 2 pieces of found treasure, which are worth 1 gold apiece. I also have 3 hunt tokens. My ruin is 3. My current conditions are drained because I got bit by a vampire in the hallway, if I remember correctly.
That's right, a sort of British London punk vampire, right?
That's right. That's where I got the gold ring from. And my burdens are 5. So I do need a few more items of treasure to meet my burdens, unless I'm willing to give up the spiral crown at the end of the
Yeah, you always have
session.
that as your insurance policy, which I think is handy. So, yeah. Good. So let's.
So I thought about the condition.
Okay.
So maybe I think, which might not be really a good thing in this castle full of vampires, apparently, but I'm reeking of blood now, I guess.
I love it. Yeah, it's good. Fantastic. And so I think we will just pick up the scene where we ended last time with the Blood Princess golf clapping for you, having destroyed the living blood creature. You get to name that creature if you want to give it a name. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So, Vanek, what do you do?
Vanek says out loud, if we are quite done here and we are all of a common mind regarding the Blood King, I would prefer to get on with our business. And he's going to look invitingly at the door.
And what is our common purpose vis-a-vis the Blood King? The Blood Princess says.
Well, it seems to me that you would prefer a change of leadership.
Yes, I like it when you put it that way. It sounds ambitious, aspirational, not at all a bloody mess. I think that's great. A change
It sounds
in leadership.
reasonable, I think.
Yes, a change in leadership. What say you? And to Tris.
Well, changes in leadership do have to happen sometime. We actually do have some experience in the area. Don't you remember, Vanek?
I do, although I'm not so certain that change was fully effected anymore. But we will discuss that at a later
Yes,
time.
that came out, didn't it?
Yes, it
the
did.
Blood Princess sort of gave up Triss's secret a little bit, kind of intimated that is not exactly what Triss has been saying. So that's pretty good. Yeah. The vampire huntress will poke her head into the door, or she's in the room now. She'll just say, like, this has all been very amusing, and I'm glad we are making common cause with these creatures. Perhaps we could go and destroy some of them as well for the sake of balance.
Vampires?
I look at the princess quizzically and ask, do you have many allies within these walls?
She says, I have one. A creature who I have promised to release from his current state if I can assume the throne. I can make this creature useful to you if the opportunity presents itself.
Which creature is this?
She says, I have a feeling you will know him when you see him.
It sounds then, I say, looking at the vampire hunter, that other than the princess, everything else in the castle is fair game.
The vampire hunter says, as long as we destroy the Blood King, that's all I really care about. I have tried so many different ways, so many different times, and I have had no luck. And the Blood Princess confesses she doesn't know how to do it either. So
Perhaps this ghost in the lower, in the room further south, perhaps it has some insights if it has stayed so long in this place, untouched.
The vampire hunter says, the creature in that chamber is utterly useless, mad, completely, constantly bereaved.
So what can you tell us about the East Wing, Princess?
She says, oh, that is my wing. And it is mostly safe. The Blood King's thralls do not wander in the East Wing much.
It's a safe haven, so you only come over here to bathe then?
Well, I came over here this day to bathe.
Well, it's good that we were here then to meet up with you and strike up this conversation. Vanik, like you said, I think it's best we don't linger too long.
Agreed. The East Wing is the princess. What about upstairs?
That is where my father resides.
Have you been there often?
Well, yes, my actual bedroom is up there. He insists on keeping me close. I think he is paranoid, and he should be.
You mentioned something about a feast. If your father is at the feast, then he is not upstairs.
He won't be there yet. He won't show up there until it's time to collect the blood tax. He despises those who serve him. He finds it a bit of a chore, in fact, to have to go to their worlds and interact with them. If he had his way, he would never leave his tower.
I'm beginning to lean towards the idea that if he does not desire to leave his tower, that there is something of value there, something close to him, something that might make him vulnerable.
The Blood Princess smiles and gets out of the bath, blood dripping down her naked purple body. And she says, he does have a few favorite toys up there. She wraps herself back in her robe after she towels off and gets ready to leave.
Is it likely we will encounter him if we join you upstairs, or should we wait? I think it probably would be better if we waited.
I think you should get a lay of the place.
Yes.
And she says, this was a most stimulating conversation. I'm glad we've come to a tentative agreement, if nothing else. I wish you all the best. And she leaves.
I assume she's headed towards the upstairs.
Unless you follow her, it's unclear.
Yeah, step out just to see which way she goes.
She heads down along the south hallway.
Okay.
Huntress, you've never told us your name. What may we call you?
She does have a name. I'm looking for it. Hold on. She says, I have not had cause to use it much in recent times, but once I was known as Celiana Suantis. I have that for you.
That's nice to hear, Celiana Suantis. What else that is dangerous to us might we find down here on this floor, do you think?
She inhales and she says, I have only seen one thing that has truly given me pause, and that I worry about. There is a court within this court, a spider court. And should you stumble upon it, you had best be certain your words are honeyed, because you will not escape with your life if you say the wrong thing.
It seems you've met them at least once.
Yes, quite by accident.
I start walking, I motion to them both and start walking towards the southernmost room on the west wing. Very curious about this woman looking for her son, but...
Trish says, yes, Vanek, let's go talk to my mother.
Indeed, indeed. The door is open. Do you go inside?
Oh, yes.
Inside, you see a large wooden bed carved with intricate carvings on the posts, with purple linens and silken pillows. There is a marble-topped dresser with a mirror on top of it, and it has a wig on a wig stand and several pots of makeup on top of it. And there's a large old oak closet. Those are the sort of main features. You don't see the woman who you saw from the window. The room appears to be empty. Vanek, what do you do?
Room appears to be empty. Walk over to the bed. Between the bed and looks like a dresser.
Yeah, there's a dresser with a mirror on top of it, a large closet, like a wardrobe, and then the bed.
Yeah, no, looks like the wardrobe then. Between the bed and the wardrobe, and move to open the wardrobe to see if someone actually resides here.
Yeah, take a hunt roll.
Okie dokie. Let's see, hunt. Would this be a lair?
Sure.
He goes, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Dice.
You can take 2 dice.
So hunt /2 or /hunt2. Ooh, that's nice.
6. Take your token. When you open up the wardrobe, you find a few things. There's a small dead spider or two on the on the floor of it. There's no clothing, but there are 2 somewhat rusty metallic hangers, like where clothes used to be hung on. And for your 6, I'm going to also tell you that you'll see 2 small, thin apertures on both sides of the base of the inside of the closet. Just 2 narrow slits. We'll cut over to Tris for a moment. Tris, what do you do?
I think Tris is going to take a better look at the bed.
Go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Don't think I have anything that I might use here, so let's see. That's a 4.
How are you examining the bed?
I think, so is there bedding on the bed?
Yeah, there's like silk purple linens
Okay.
and pillows atop.
So I think Tris is kind of absent-mindedly like picking up the bedding and then fixing it somehow and really like making the bed, like because he's worked in long time and it's kind of, you know, so, but I'm also going to spend the token I found. So maybe I find something there.
Yeah, I think you will. While you are, well, I'll tell you what you find first since you spent your token. One of the cushions on top is a small cushion that you could pocket pretty easily. But what makes it valuable is it has like a very, it's got like a button in the center, which is like a cluster of semi-precious gemstones. It's worth 1 gold. As you are tossing the bed, moving the linens and things, a woman turns over. You don't remember seeing her there, and then quite suddenly she's there. And she turns and she says, "My son, is that you? Is that you after all these years?"
Yes.
She looks at you.
Mother.
She is translucent, glowing blue, wearing a very like ornate sleeping gown. And she says, "I knew you would return someday. I just knew it. I'm so happy to see you." And she reaches out her hand to take yours.
I think I'm going to take her hand.
You take her hand, although it's incorporeal, and as you take it, you feel a chill run down your arm, down your back. And she says, "You're so warm. I can't remember the last time I felt such warmth."
You're cold, Mother. Why is that?
"There must be a draft. Perhaps we should check to see if the window is closed." I want to
That's
check
the
in
window
with...
that you were looking out of, looking for me?
I am always looking for you. I have been searching for you for so long, my son. Vanek, what are you up to right now?
Well, having found these 2 apertures on the sides of the closet, are they sized to fit the hangers or sized
Yes.
to fit my finger? In that case, let me see if I can put the hangers inside and manipulate them in some way to open something or move something.
When you put the hangers into the apertures, you hear a click, and the base of the wardrobe lifts up. There's a compartment there, And inside the compartment is, well, it ain't much. It's a dirty, old, dark brown cape.
I am extraordinarily suspicious because is the brown, is it soft or crusty to the touch? I pick it up.
Oh, it's brown fabric, yeah, but
Brown fabric.
it's like it's just old and worn. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing else in here but that. No ornamentation, nothing on this cape.
You can do another hunt roll if you want.
Yeah, I may as well. Actually, this is the point where the hunt roll becomes more of a danger than a reward, because I've got 4 tokens and it's like, what if I roll a 1? So I think I'll take my reward as the cape as sufficient at this point. I mean, I'll peer at it closely. I don't know what this is, but it certainly doesn't look like anything. The apparition on the bed, can everybody see it?
She's paying you no mind whatsoever.
Correct, but we can hear the conversation and
Yes.
see the apparition.
Yeah.
And she's not wearing anything like this cape.
No. No, hers is very like ornate, like kind of, she's wearing a very like ornate, poofy sleeping gown.
All right. Well, I will go ahead and throw this over my shoulders because I really don't want to carry it. And then step away from the wardrobe and head over to the
dresser. So the woman says to you, Triss, "Oh, my son, please, it would warm my heart to hear you sing the song you wrote for me on my birthday." What do you do?
Mother, it has, my voice is well trained, and I trained it more since the last time we met, but it has been such a long while. Might you sing it along with me to remind me of the words?
I would like the risk roll here.
Mm-hmm.
What are you hoping to accomplish?
I think I'm hoping to somehow conjure up a rendition of whatever song she's looking for, maybe with some of her help that will satisfy her need for remembrance. Or for
Indeed.
Yeah.
Merwin, what could go wrong here?
The easy one is that she'll realize he's masquerading. That's a little too easy.
That's what I'm going for. She realizes you're false and she attacks you.
The trickier one will be maybe parts. I think she's been searching for her son for so long, she may not even remember what he's like. And if she can't remember the lyrics herself, the madness might be more powerful than her missing son.
So let's take a look at your dice. What about your first light die?
So, I mean, I have carousing skill and I'm a dancer. I want to step. So I mean, we did have, and I did have all this music playing.
So it's like a performance aspect, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
So I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I don't think it fits directly, but since I seen Triss as a kind of bard or performer all
I
the
think it's
time,
close. Yeah, it's close
it
enough. Yeah,
seems
it's
kind
close
of
enough. Yeah, I'm into it.
so.
You got one light die, devil's bargains. My devil's bargain is no matter what, she mistakes the vampire huntress Celiana for someone that she despises.
No matter what. No matter what, an apparition of her son appears.
That's pretty good.
Well, I think I mean, since I think we might have to rephrase Mervin's one a bit, since the goal was kind of for Triss to convincingly perform being her son, right? So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So let's see. I mean, I'm into that, but
it might overlay the apparition's features. Might overlay your own.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, that might be like it might be like
I think it works either way, because just because he appears doesn't mean she doesn't believe you necessarily, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually kind of into if that would be to basically, by singing this, I'm kind of conjuring up the spirit of her son within me. Something like this.
Yeah. I think it's yes. You do want to go with that one, or
yeah, I think that I would have gone with the other one, but in this way, I think that's.
Or you're becoming more like her son, for better or worse.
Yeah, I'm somehow becoming more like her son, maybe.
Let's do
than I had gambled for.
2 light dice, and I don't think you're at dark die quite yet. You can take it with light for now.
Okay, all right. That's a 6.
Whoa!
Very nice. Let's give us the scene. How do you sort of get her to help you with the song so that you come off convincingly?
So I think Triss is actually quite a skilled performer and singer. So he does he kind of tries out kind of these different melodies, and then until she kind of gets in with the melody that she kind of remembers, and then he comes up with some like pretty standard birthday lines somehow, and works in some references to the mother, and so somehow it's this very, like, if someone would hear it that is not desperately wanting her son to return, it would be clear that this is a kind of very generic thing. But for her, it seems that it's close enough to a birthday song, and somehow, always kind of incorporating whenever she remembers a word or something, he always goes for it, really. And so it becomes this kind of performance that she's really into, I think. Yeah.
And as you are doing this, I don't think you see it. I think Vanek sees it. But your features start to change a little bit, like something is overlaid atop them. It is a person with, well, bluish purple skin, long white hair, and wearing a crown an ostentatious crown shaped like skull-faced bats preying on humanoids, festooned with red gems. And this person sort of speaks through you as you for a moment and looks at you, Vanek, and says, "My lord, your cape seems to have slipped off your shoulder."
I will tighten it around my shoulders a little more firmly.
This is the brown cape, the old one?
Yes, yes.
He says, "Ah, very good. You are here to deliver your blood tax, yes?"
I will nod.
"Tell me of your world. Where do you come from? How long have you been traveling with us?"
I glance briefly at the huntress, the vampire hunter.
She mutters, "It is the demon himself."
I say I've been here only a moment.
He says, "And this one, pretending to be me, tormenting my poor mother. Is he your tax?"
I would not presume to claim anyone as my tax. My taxes all come freely.
Impressive. Well, I look forward to meeting you, whether that be tonight or 100 nights from now. And he disappears.
Okay.
Mother, have you seen your son? Have you heard him sing?
She says, "Yes, it was remarkable. It's so nice to see you again. And now I'm feeling very tired and I must go back to sleep."
You must rest, Mother.
And she does. She disappears, in fact. Saliana says, "Well, this is quite a drama we are participating in here. Perhaps we could make haste."
I think you're right. Enough games for one night. I do hope she rests, though. She seemed very tired of all of this here. And it might have been the last time that she saw her son, if we're successful.
So was there a set goal for this room, or are there just some encounters that are just encounters?
Yeah, the only set goal is for the whole West Wing, which is to make alliance with the vampire huntress. So you did that already.
Interesting. Okay.
And I assume you leave, unless you want to go through that dresser.
Yeah, I do want to go through the dresser.
Just do a hunt roll.
Okay. One. Yeah, I figured that's going to happen.
Oh no!
It's the one.
It happens. It happens. You lose your tokens, and
That hurt.
you encounter something terrible. And the terrible is quite simply that the woman begins having a nightmare in her sleep. And as she's having her nightmare, she cries out but it's a terrible, deathly wail that echoes out and claws at you and drains you. You have to leave immediately.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Celiana says, I don't care to do this for much longer. We need to find out how to destroy the Blood King.
I suspect to do that, we must go upstairs. I would doubt anything on this level would be a danger to him at all, since so many are allowed to walk it so freely.
Well, he seemed to think that you were one of the vampire lords. Perhaps you have more run of the place than you realize. Maybe you should make an appearance in the Great Hall.
I don't know why he would think that, unless it was because of the cape. Or perhaps anyone who dares walk the halls should be a lord.
She says, I will tell you this. Ever since you've been wearing the cape, I have a deep revulsion, a pit in my stomach that makes me want to put a bolt through your neck. I shall refrain, of course.
I appreciate that.
The Great Hall is on this floor, right, Celiana?
It is right around the corner.
If the feast hasn't started, maybe we should take a look to get a lay of the land.
All right. If I am recognized as a lord, perhaps you two would be my retinue?
She says, very well. And so you have another room there, kind of on the southwest corner. It is a little guard barracks. And you know this because you'll occasionally see a guard go back in and out, back and forth from it. And then if you go a little further down around the corner, that's the sort of main entryway to the castle. Is that the direction you want to go in?
That seems totally workable. I think to the right would be out, to the left would be into the Great Hall.
Correct, yes. So the sort of entryway, like as if you had come from the front, is there are stout oak doors, painted gold. They are actually open right now. You can actually look out into the rose garden. And there is a coat hanger with dark blood-stained jackets and coats hanging on it. And you have a very intense smell of perfume and metallic tang of blood in your mouth as you sort of enter this space. And to your left, which is the entry to the Great Hall, there is a large, monstrous door. I shall put this picture on the board because it's worth looking at. It also has some characters there for scale. Let's make it not giant. Thank you, Google Drawings. There is the door. And it is, it's big. It is, the mouth is currently closed.
So that is inside the hall, or that is the door to the hall?
That is the door to the hall.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess at this point, what do you do?
Have you gone through this mouth,
That's the question.
Celiana?
She says, no, I've never been inside, but I know that is where the monsters gather.
I think I'm gonna take a look at the, like trying to see if I can recognize anything about that creature, or if, you know, like anything that's stands out to me about this relief, this.
The door?
Yeah, the door.
What do you do?
I think I step closer to see, like, is this stonework? Is this organic? Like, are these teeth, you know, teeth? Does it look like it was a creature that was turned to stone, or is this kind of assembled? Like, is it
is
intricate artwork?
Yeah, do a hunt roll. Let's see how it goes.
I don't think I have anything that will help me here. No. That's a 3.
The creature comes to life. The eyes open. The mouth begins to move. The door, that is, and it says, "Who are you?"
I think Tris kind of steps aside, you know, like gently for the Lord to answer this question.
Oh my God.
Vanek, what do you do?
Vanek's freaking out for just a second because he doesn't have the name of the Lord handy.
I think I might. So there was no Lord name, right? So I think Tris sees you hesitating, and then I think he kind of turns, you know, the stepping aside into like a bow, and he says, like, "I present the Lord of the Rats."
And the door says, the eyes narrow, staring at you, Lord of the Rats. And it says, "Welcome, my lord, to the great hall of the Blood King." And the mouth opens up and sort of fixes in a sort of strange open mouth rictus. And the tongue lolls out like a soft padded carpet. And down the gullet is a hall.
Okay, I will muster up what confidence I can and stride forward with my companions.
You step onto the tongue and you can feel the soft squish of the wet tongue beneath your boots. And that smell of blood, that metallic tang in your mouth becomes very, very strong. And you step into this hall, which leads directly to the Great Hall, and we shall resume in 5 minutes.
Oh.
So the short hallway down the monstrous door's mouth leads to a pair of interior doors decorated with red metal veins. And if you look closely enough, you'll see that the veins are actually pumping blood. And the door is flanked by 2 lines of columns. And each of the columns is decorated with scenes of vampiric debauchery. Well, that's first the doors. You go inside the doors, and the room itself is flanked by these columns, right? And each of the columns has scenes of vampiric debauchery, vampires preying on all sorts of alien beings and humans. As I paint the scene, I would like for each of you to tell me just one image that sticks out on the columns that's particularly gruesome.
I think we see the scene where there are people standing in line, and at the end of the line there's a bathtub, and that's where they're bled. Like we find out how these bathtubs were filled with blood. So a line of people being bled into the tub.
I'm imagining a couple of scenes, one on separate columns, most likely, but in 3D, where you would have a sculpted form reaching out or beseeching the people walking through the door, and behind them, if you go around the column, you can see that a vampire has sunk its fangs into their neck as they're reaching out towards the door for help.
Inside the room as well, you see a few different things. There are a few guests here mingling around. We'll talk about them in a minute. At the far end of the room, there is a large golden throne that is like a bunch of skeletons mashed together and shaped to form a throne shape, but in gold. And there is a stairway that spirals and goes up next to the throne. And there are also 3 doors inside the Great Hall, apart from the ones you came in, that are also this decorated with the red metal veins. The 3 guests, 2 of them are talking to each other, and the other one is just sort of meandering about, basically looking here and there. Vanek, what do you do? Oh, and by the way, you have a new sickle here as well. The sickle for the Great Hall and surrounding rooms is to discover how to destroy the Blood King. And so, Vanek, what do you do?
Wouldn't you know it, I just lost on my hunt token, so fantastic. Vanek's going to step into this room and have a small start when he sees how realistic those 3D sculptures are in the pillars, and then gather himself upright again. He's not as much of a performer as Triss, so this doesn't come naturally to him. He's going to avoid the 3 figures for the moment. The 3 other lords or ladies, as they might be, and make a circuit of the hall, starting with the rightmost door, and see, first of all, if they are open and whether he could just get a look and see what's in those rooms. So we'll go right, southeast, northeast, and then the throne, and then come around to the southwest.
Take a hunt roll for now, and I'll tell you what you see as you go through.
Okay. Let's see, do any of my things apply? appraisal, dismantling, or layers, or even history if there's anything of historical value.
I could kind of, if you're just opening doors and peeking in, it might just be one die.
Okay,
Unless,
got it.
yeah.
No worries. It's only a 2.
You are beginning your circuit. The doors open up easily enough. In the southeastmost room is what appears to be like a little game room with some game tables set up. And then going a little further, there's a library. And before you can make it to the throne and what's on the other side, one of the guests approaches you. It's the solo guest, the one by herself. She is an upright humanoid fish with antenna and very, very pale skin, big fish-like head. And she's wearing sort of drapey, pale robes. And she walks up to you and extends a leathery, fishy, webbed hand and says, "I am Dasha Scaleblood, and who might you be?"
This is the Lord of the Rats, Triss says again with, some
Yes,
fun.
yes, the Lord of the Rats. I have heard of you. I know your name. I know you by reputation. Fond of rats, I believe.
Vanek will nod, incline his head politely.
Tell me, Lord of Rats, do you feast on the rats to get your daily sustenance?
Vanek will shake his head and mutter, "Of course not. They serve me. They are not served to me."
Oh, I thought perhaps that you and I might have common cause. I myself do not care to dine on people. I have been trying to come up with alternative sources of sustenance, and back on my world, I am deep into research on the creation of a synthetic or plant-based blood alternative.
Why is this?
Because I do not believe that we should have to kill in order to feed ourselves, my Lord of Rats.
Certainly a unique perspective.
Yes, a controversial one, as you might imagine. Our fellow lords, and apparently you as well, love the hunt, they love the kill. I am a pacifist.
How did you come about your gifts in that case?
Oh, how do any of us who have been recently turned? It was love that did it. Triss, what are you up to in the meantime?
I think I want to go check out the library.
Indeed. There is a guest in the library as well, roaming around.
What does that guest look like?
A tall humanoid with red skin and a third eye on his forehead. And the room itself is much bigger than it seems like it should be. And it is absolutely stacked floor to ceiling with bookcases and books. It's quite dusty. It looks like nobody really gets in here and cleans. And the bookshelves themselves appear to be made of the same sort of blood-like organic material as the rest of the house. What do you do?
What does that guest, are they browsing the library
They are.
or?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think I'm going to, well, I mean, it's a bit, I'm wondering how to put this in. I'm seeing whether there's any information about this place, or especially the blood tax. But yeah, let's see. Like I'm looking for tombs on vampirism.
You won't have to look far, but you can take a hunt roll.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I have any skills that apply. So let's see. A 3 again.
You are poking around, moving around, pulling books off shelves, and you'll hear the other guest say, "Most everything here is completely useless."
Why is that?
Trashy novels, young people falling in love, some of them afflicted with vampirism. It is not high literature, that is for sure.
Maybe you can help me. I'm accompanying a lord. It's the first visit to this place, and I'm an advisor. I'm looking for more information on the blood tax. Can you enlighten me?
Yes, I may be able to enlighten you. I am Xantis Crimson Eyes. And he leans in close to you and says, "I have seen your lord, and like me, he is no vampire lord. He is here in disguise."
True.
And so the question is, what are you searching for specifically?
What is the blood tax? What does it require? What is expected of the guests at this feast?
I'm trying to determine that myself. I have been here disguised among them for some time. But my interests are purely academic. I have no ulterior motives. I simply want to know what this castle's all about and what these people are all about. I haven't seen the Blood King much yet, and he hasn't come to collect his tax yet.
What will the collecting be like?
Well, I've heard different things. Different things. It is more than simply drinking the blood of a victim. It's something, well, it's almost existential from the sound of it. The Blood King doesn't just drain the tax, he obliterates the tax. He tosses it into oblivion, rips them apart from their soul outward. Well, I've heard all sorts of things. I have yet to witness it, though I would certainly love to.
We might, if I understand correctly, we might witness it tonight.
Perhaps, perhaps. And as you're sort of having this conversation, pulling books off shelves and discovering that it's mostly a bunch of young adult novel trash, you eventually find yourself stuck in a mass of sticky, red, thick spider webs. And Xantus says, "Oh my, you seem to have gotten yourself into a bit of a sticky situation." I'm sure someone will be along to collect you directly. And he continues on.
I think Tris looks around, probably like getting more stuck by moving a bit. So I think I am going to, let's see.
Well, think on it. Let's go to Fennec, the Rat Lord. So you're sitting here talking to Darsha Scaleblood, who is trying to develop a vegetable-based blood alternative or a synthetic blood alternative. The conversation is not really going anywhere. What do you do, Vanek?
I say one of my companions appears to have wandered off. I should probably collect them.
Very well, very well. Well, I hope we get a chance to speak again, Lord of Rats. Perhaps I shall bring you around to my point of view.
I would be pleased to sample any of your wares to see if they would suffice. In an emergency, it is always good to have alternatives in an emergency.
Ah, practical, yes. Perhaps that is how I make inroads with the other vampire lords and convincing them of the virtue of my project.
I will speak with you in the near future, I'm sure.
And she goes back to looking at carvings on the columns.
Okay.
I will then what?
Continue on down to the library.
Yeah, I think you'll pass Xantus Crimson Eyes, and his single eye in the middle of his forehead gives you a conspiratorial wink.
Okay. I keep my face wooden and look inside the room to see if Triss is already dead or still in there.
You will see Triss in the far corner in this library that is much bigger than it seems like it should be. You'll see him in the far corner getting more and more stuck in a pile of webs, thick red webs.
I see you've gotten yourself in a bit of trouble. I step inside with the hunter. Is there anything we can do for him? Or if we, for example, pick up a book and try and pull away some of these webs with using it as a tool, see if we can pull some of the web away from him?
Celiana just begins like using a sword to cut away at the webs.
Does it actually work?
Yeah. She's there just working on it. And she says, kind of muttering to you, Triss. She says, "You have to watch where you're walking. This place is filled with danger. Everywhere you turn, something wants to kill you."
Is this the spider court you're talking about?
Most likely, yes. I recall blood red webs, yes. She hacks away.
So quick question. When we lit up the torches before, I used 3 of them. I didn't use them for 3 hours worth of time, but I had the feeling that with the way we used them to destroy creatures, they got consumed. So I don't.
I guess. I mean, as long as they kind of remain in your inventory once they're selected, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay.
At least for the rest of the adventure, I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And everything now is kind of illuminated anyway, so like this spaces you're in right now have this sort of red glow to them.
Okay.
So she's hacking away at the webs, and if you want to burn away the webs, I think that'll work as well. And you'll eventually be able to free Triss, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, let's get that done. I'd rather not have him stuck here waiting for something less desirable than us.
And Celiana, after you pull Triss up, Celiana says, "Look, down there." And you will see that there is a section of floor where the spider webs were that is clearly loose tiles and can be removed.
Oh. Well, remove them carefully, making sure to avoid the web myself.
If you remove the tiles, they reveal a tunnel, a very roughly hewn tunnel that descends down at a gentle slope.
All right. Motion my companions to follow. Is there a way to put the tiles back behind us so that our exit will not be so clear?
I think that's fair, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Triss, are you going down the tunnel?
I think so, yeah.
Celiana says, "What do we expect to find down here, I wonder?"
I don't know, but this seems concealed enough that perhaps some advantage may be revealed to us here that would not be so apparent in the open spaces.
Very well. And
keep the torch lit.
She says, "I will guard our rear." And so, Vanek, are you going in first?
Yes, I have a torch.
You go down the tunnel. You have to crouch as you go down. And it twists a little bit, but eventually ends up in a subterranean space that is dark and damp and absolutely covered with spider webs and blood stains. There are stalactites that hang down low enough that create almost like a mirror image of the vampire's great hall, like columns almost flanking the space. And again, like the great hall, at the far end of it, there is a throne of bones, but it's a throne of real bones. And that's what you can see sort of at a glance. There don't appear to be any spiders anywhere, or at least they're not making themselves super well known. The space is actually kind of tight, despite what I've described. It's a small space, tight space, but it definitely echoes the general layout of the Great Hall. Vanek, what do you do?
Well, as we continue down this path, and I realize that it's tight, but as we move forward, I'm using the torch to burn away anything that might hinder our return along this path. So I don't want to get stuck in webs if we have to move fast and exit. And we'll continue down through this area, passing by the pillars, do the pillars have any different imagery on them? That is to say, not
Well,
vampires?
they're just stalactites
Oh,
hanging,
okay.
and they have no images graven on them.
Okay. And are they actually stalactites, pointed or narrowing at the bottom?
Mhm.
And they're reflective? Do we see ourselves in them, or
Oh no, they're just like stone.
yeah, okay. Okay, continue on down and until we reach the throne. I assume there well, I'm wondering if there are any more doorways besides the ones that we saw in above Great Hall.
I think at this point, take a hunt roll,
All right.
and if you have
This
layers,
this is definitely a layer.
yeah, go for it.
Slash hunt 2. Wow. Wow.
Did you get snake eyes?
Yes.
Lose your tokens.
I didn't have any, so same-o, same-o. Keep going.
You will realize at the base of the throne of withered bones are hundreds of shiny black eggs clustered near the ground. You thought it was inky shadow, but it's hundreds of slick, inky black eggs. And you will hear a voice from above that says, "Welcome to my court." And you will see a great, terrible spider queen crawling down from the darkness above. I shall put a picture of her on the image board. There she is. She is crawling down, and she wears this sort of, she's quite large, like the size of a large bull with very long legs. And she has this quite elaborate organic headdress. And all around her are large plates of armor that look like faces with glowing green eyes. And she settles in on her throne of bones. Triss, what are you doing in the meantime?
I think Triss is trying his best to kind of stay to the side, but also prepares, I think, to if the Spider King, whatever it is, attacks, I think Triss will try to bind it in place.
This being says again, "Welcome to my court. And who might you be, Vampire Lord, so brave to come to this place when you have no doubt been told that this is where your kind meet their demise?"
No one was kind enough to enlighten us.
Ah, then you have been tricked by your colleagues. They must want you to be dead, and this makes you very interesting to me.
So you have no love for our kind, and yet you confine yourself below when there are more of us above?
I do not love, nor do I hate your kind, but I find you a necessity.
How so?
And she sort of shifts and reclines. You hear the sort of creaking of the bone throne and the tapping of her limbs on the ground. And she says, I require your blood to hatch my young.
Ordinary blood will not do?
No, no, no. So it seems you have been tricked. You have been sent to satiate me, perhaps by the Blood King himself. Here, you will notice other spider beings emerging from the shadows.
I say, I chuckle, so the Blood King serves you.
He would not like to have it put that way. Let's just say that we are in a détente.
And what would you do without him?
Well, I don't want to be without him. For you see, he draws your kind here, and I occasionally get my forelimbs on one, and I am able to hatch more of my children. So, how would you like to be drained?
I think you won't find our blood to your liking, spider.
Certainly not yours, human. Be silent.
I assume I would have, even though it's not on my sheet, I would have some sort of small blade on me, just not a weapon, but a small blade.
Sure, yeah, like a little pocket knife or something.
Yeah. I will say, I think whoever left the passageway in the library perhaps made it too easy for anyone to fool anyone. And I will cut a small nick in my forefinger and flick a drop of or two of blood in her direction.
What are you hoping to accomplish here?
To prove to her that I am not a vampire.
That's a risk roll because this could be taken lots of different ways, I think. What could go wrong, Adrian?
The blood that the spider king might not, or the spider queen might not like the blood, but maybe like after being hatched, the spider beings, they don't really care whether it's vampire.
They don't care. They just want to eat. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's talk about your first light die, Merwin. I don't know if you have a skill, but I kind of like what you're doing, and I'm wondering if it could qualify as a light die. Maybe it's kind of like using the environment in a way. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, she's not taking my word for it. Oh, well, I doubt she would take my word for it that I wasn't a vampire. And so I'm trying to provide hard evidence that that is not the case. The risk, of course, that she won't be able to contain her minions, but I'll take that risk as a secondary.
I'm just trying to find your first light die, either with skills, equipment, or environment. I feel like it kind of serves the environment purpose, like because you're sort of using your blood and flicking it at her and presumably on the eggs to show that it doesn't do anything, right?
Right. Yep.
So I kind of like that. What about Devil's Bargains, Adrian?
No matter what, there might be another half-drained vampire lord in here that will also know that we are not, that we are just humans.
Yeah, I agree. I like that a lot. I'm going to say no matter what, let's get crazy here. No matter what, the vampire or the spider queen will want to take you as her consort.
I hope that's not consort in a grasshopper sort of way.
Like it's consort as in her sort of like kept male lover sort of way.
Yeah, well, grasshoppers tend to bite the heads off of their male lovers, so that's what I'm talking about. I guess I could think about a worse life than becoming a consort. It doesn't mean she will, it just means she wants to.
It just means she wants it, right?
I'll go for that one.
You have 2 light dice, and I think a dark die is automatic here. Go for it.
So it's a risk 2-1.
2-1.
There's a light 6.
But your dark die is higher than your. Oh, but it's not the highest, so it doesn't. So your ruin doesn't go up.
Right.
But yeah, 6 light. That's doesn't get any better than that. You will successfully convince her that you are not a vampire lord. Her spider children will not want to eat you, and at some point she's going to make a proposal, I think. But go ahead and just describe how you convince her that you're not actually a vampire lord.
Okay. I cut into my finger, and the gash is deeper than I would like. And as the blood wells up to a decent amount, I say, I feel my words will not be sufficient to convince you, so I make an offering instead. And I flick my finger forward towards her and her lower limbs. And as the blood drifts across both her eggs and her body, it doesn't provide any, it doesn't provoke any reaction from the eggs at all, if it was supposed to. And if she extends one of her limbs to taste for herself that I am not a vampire, it becomes immediately apparent to her that I'm just an extraordinarily bold human instead.
She says, "How remarkable. You managed to fool even me. I must confess, I find myself intrigued by you, and I wish to know more about you."
What can I share? I clear my throat. My queen.
She says, Share your body. Allow yourself to become one of my many consorts. And I shall bestow upon you a gift in exchange.
I say, I'm afraid I belong to another, but I think I may appease your desires in another way. I motion toward the vampire hunter. This one would be happy to bring any number of vampires your way, as many as you desire.
That is a fine bargaining chip. What do you want in exchange?
I look at Celiana, and I say, she is not mine to offer. You would have to make such an arrangement directly with her. But I point out that I believe she would be more than amenable to such an arrangement.
Celiana just steps forward and says, "You can tell us how to kill the Blood King." And the Spider Queen says, "Why would I do such a thing? If the Blood King is destroyed, that means he will no longer be able to travel the multiverse collecting his blood tax, and therefore I will not have a steady supply of blood for my young."
He controls the castle and you do not?
Yes.
I say she will take over hunting vampires and bringing them to you all throughout the multiverse.
And as far as a pilot for the castle, I believe we can arrange a solution for that as well.
Oh, what solution is that?
The princess above may also be amenable to your cause.
So there is another waiting in the wings.
Indeed.
Intriguing. Very intriguing. You have convinced me. I shall tell you how to destroy the Blood King. You must find his heart, which does not reside within his chest. Destroy the heart, and you destroy him. This should sound familiar to you.
I would assume even if it is not within his chest, he would want to remain close to it.
I do not know where the heart is. I know only that he guards it jealously. Wherever he keeps it, it is well hidden and likely well protected. Now, Trickster, who has managed to infiltrate my court, who has managed to seduce me in your way, who has managed to trick me, who has managed to strike a bargain with the great Blood Spider Queen. I would like very much for one of my young to have your traits. will you do me the honor of allowing me to impregnate you with one of my young?
I say, all of this will come to naught if I do not survive. I will not have proven strong enough. So
Well,
perhaps when this is all done, such a deal might be struck.
very well. Then I wish you glad tidings.
I will bow and back down the corridor that we came, or the hall that we came.
Indeed.
Unless anybody wants to say anything else.
Well, then in that case, the set goal is met. You know how to destroy the Blood King. Let's take a 5-minute break here.
Okay.
So you back out into the library, and Triss, what do you do at this point?
I think I'm actually going back to looking about the library because I must have missed apart from all these bad novels and so on, I must have missed some of the books about vampirism where we might find out anything about the heart, like, what is up with the Vampire King's heart.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take some time to look through books, you can definitely do that. Give me a hunt roll. I mean, you can spend as much time as you want. There's no pressure here as far as that goes. Give me a hunt roll. See what you find.
Yeah, I think I'm still not really. Let's see, have any skills or so. So let's see. That's a 2.
And what are you doing in the meantime, Vanek?
If he's searching for stuff in the library, I think for right now, Vanek is sort of catching his breath, so he'll probably just fumble around the library himself, just in an attempt to gather his wits and try not to be hyperventilating quite so much.
So you're also going through books?
Yeah.
Take a hunt roll.
A separate one? Okay.
Yep.
All right. /hunt. I can't roll anything but ones.
Yeah, the dice are being absolutely brutal today. Well, so I've got 2 terrible encounters, and it might just be 1 terrible encounter. So get 1 really, really terrible encounter. Give me a moment to see what we have possibly to do here. Where do I want to go with this? Okay. So you are both spending some time in the library, and you're thumbing through books. You actually you may not find what you're looking for, but you might find some interesting books that are not young adult vampire novels. I think you will find a book that is actually, you open it up and it's hollowed out. And inside the hollow space of this book are 3 glass vials with a strange purplish liquid inside of them. Triss, you can find that. And Vanek, you will find a treatise on different ways to use fresh blood for various medical purposes. And it seems to be where the blood bath sort of thinking comes from, like preparing that blood to make it rejuvenating, right? Among other things. You can add that to your found equipment as well if you wish. And while you're having this, like you're just kind of going through books and doing your thing, you will be visited by another guest who comes into the library. And this person comes in. They are small, they are insectoid, and they're wearing an impeccable tuxedo. So it's like a little insect person, very nattily dressed for the party. And he comes in and he says, "Ah, hello. I am Zarzal Fastwing." "And who might you be, my lord?"
I am the Lord of the Rats.
"The Lord of the Rats. I have never heard of the Lord of the Rats, but I am pleased to make your acquaintance."
Likewise.
"Now, Lord of the Rats, I must confess I have a bit of a taste for the blood of our kind." And here you see that he has 2 mantis-like forelimbs. He says, "Perhaps you would be willing to let me have a taste."
I say, I'm afraid not, but I believe others who indulge exactly as you do can be found. I know where you can find others who indulge as you do.
He leaps out lightning fast and slashes at you with one of his forelimbs. And he says, "Ah, I don't wish to bargain. I wish to take." And he kind of rises up, his mantis-like limbs at the ready. And you have to fight him.
Okay, so I was going to ask, is this a combat roll? And I guess
This
it
is
is.
a combat roll, indeed. Chris, if you're in the combat, roll weak points, say how you're vulnerable. And also remind you that in a combat that Celiana's involved in, you get an extra die, plus she can take a hit for you.
Okay.
But let's have weak points.
Hey, at least the one comes in handy there.
It's
I think
absolutely brutal to you today. Jesus, like nothing but ones.
I think Triz is going to actually step in, right? Like has watched this exchange, and with a very quick step with his acrobatic talent just steps in between that creature and Vanek. That's definitely how he is vulnerable with a 1.
Indeed.
Okay, so if the 1 comes up, we're both really.
Indeed. So we are, and how are you vulnerable, Vanek? Just
Vanek's thinking that he can sweet talk this guy into coming downstairs and have the Blood Queen take care of him, but the Queen of the Blood Spiders take care of him. But so he's caught off guard, and he's still recovering from the shock of, holy cow! I was this close to getting eaten, and I'm gonna be breeding spider eggs now. So he's pretty distracted.
Sounds good. Let's have a combat 3. Go for it. Whoever wants to roll it. You roll it, Vanek.
Go ahead.
All right. So what is it? /
combat 3.
Combat 3.
Woof.
What's the endurance? Sorry,
the endurance is 8.
Okay.
So it's 6, 1, and 1. That is 2 1s. That means you're both going to take 2 hits. Celiana can take one of those hits for you if you wish, or you can mark your armor or take 2 hits. It's up to you. But let's get the combat going. So, Triss, you step in. What does it look like?
What do you think, Vanek? I think we might need her later. Because if she takes a hit, she's done, right? That's the.
It depends on how hard the hit is.
Okay,
I'll kind of decide.
Okay, you'll do it. I think I'm gonna mark my tunic, but I'm still just gonna be run through the shoulder, left shoulder, with one of these appendages.
Nice. It's very fast. He's like lightning fast with these things. That's why he's able to strike you both so efficiently. And keep it going, Vanek.
Okay. The bottom line is Triss getting in between doesn't help me much, because the nature of his claws, the curved nature of his claws, means that not only does it go through Triss, but the edge will still catch me and slice through. So I will take a hit. There's nothing I can do. I already used my armor before.
And Celiana fires a bolt, and she's not ready for how fast the creature is. The bolt flies by, and the creature just like nimbly dodges it and goes right back into his fighting stance. And the second round, combat 4. Anybody who wants to bail can bail, but it is combat 4. Triss, if you're still in the combat, take it away.
All right, go ahead.
Let's see what happens.
You have to be able to roll better than me. Oh, jeez.
Barely.
It's enough to destroy the creature. It's a 6, 2, 2, and a 1, except that pesky 1 will be another hit. Can you sustain the hit, Vanek?
I'll go up to a ruin 5, but I could. Oh, wait. Last round. Oh, each of us takes that. That's not. Sorry, that's not. Those 2 1s mean each of us take 2 ruin, right?
Correct.
Oh my God, I'm at 5. I can't take any.
You got to let Celiana take it for you then.
Yeah.
Unless you want Celiana to take the last one, that since you didn't understand, but.
No, I'm at 5. If I take 1 more, I'm out. So.
Yeah, go ahead. She has to take it then. I mean, that's how that goes.
So let's keep it going. So Vanek, narrate.
Yeah, at this point, my good sense has left me, and I've actually dived toward the creature. My goal is to restrain it and take it downstairs. I'm mad. He's just enraged and sort of insane at this point. He wants to feed this thing to the Spider Queen. So his goal is he launches himself at the creature regardless of the damage it's doing, and he's trying to knock it senseless.
And I think Celiana realizes that it's getting the better of you, and Celiana rushes up and she says, It rushes up and says, "We must dispatch it quickly." And she has a wooden stake, and she's ready to plunge it into the insectoid creature's heart. And she'll do that. She does plunge it in, but in doing so, the creature manages to slice her in the ribs with its mandibles, and she cries out, and she pulls away with blood pouring out of her chest and or out of her sides. She's not dead, but she's definitely in bad shape, and she collapses down. The thing is reeling. It is, it's got a stake in its heart. It is totally vulnerable. Triss, finish it off.
I think Triss sees the severity of the situation and goes very closely in with his silver dagger and plunges it into that creature's head, but is completely covered by like whatever blood or whatever it secretes onto him.
Indeed. Triss, go ahead and roll a gold 8.
All right, let's hope that we at least get some treasure from this. Ooh.
Oh my god.
Name the treasure and add it to whoever wants to take it. Add it to your.
Go ahead.
No, it's yours.
Vanek.
It's yours. You need it more than I do.
I'm up for. No, you will be needing it more. Go ahead.
All right. Let's see. I think for an insectoid creature, there's probably. I like the idea of having one of his mandibles being sort of having the equivalent of a golden tooth inlaid with jewels, sort of his gangsta grill as a vampire.
I love it. You can definitely add that to your gear. It's worth 1 gold. Celiana is already like wrapping her wound. She's wrapping a bandage around her waist and around her rib cage. And she says, "I have to stay here for a moment. Just come and get me when you're ready to face the Blood King. I'll be ready by then."
Right. I'm going to take this corpse. Hopefully it's good for something, and throw it down the
down the tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the spiders will find it.
Oh yeah, a good offering.
Good for something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Triss, what's next?
So I did find this weird liquid right inside a hollowed book.
Yeah, 3 vials of purplish liquid.
Well, I mean, my feeling is now, Vanek, that we're actually not going to be able to get this done without perishing here, at least one of us, if not both of us. If I see that correctly, you still need 2 gold, right? And if I still have 2 tokens, so I'm up to 6 if I use these. So I'm wondering whether we should, she will stay here. I think what we should do now is to wander around here a bit to the east wing, because that's where the Blood Princess said it's not too dangerous, and see if we can find some stuff, and then see whether we can get the hell out of here. If we want to survive this. For me, it's fine either way, but yeah, at least that would, Triss would be saying like, this, I don't feel so good. I think we should, the princess said that maybe there might be a way to rest a bit in her chambers or her part of this castle. We should get over there, and maybe we can think of something once we've taken a breath. What do you think, Vanek?
That sounds far more appealing than the two ideas that I had. I feel as if I'm caught between having to make a deal with one devil in order to defeat another, and having to choose between the beast in the dungeon or the beast below us in order to defeat the Blood King. Neither is very palatable, so perhaps your choice is a better third option.
Unless these medical treatise that you found has convinced you that taking a bath in the blood is something that you should also do. I think I've taken my share of blood today, but maybe it might help you some.
Did the book that talked about the medical uses for blood talk about any negative effects?
Well, you'd have to spend some time studying it, I think.
All right. Maybe we'll head over to the princess's side of the house, and as we're resting for a few minutes, perhaps that's something I can do is read the book and see whether I'm really willing to do that.
So let's take a look at the map. I think as you pass back through the Great Hall, you'll see that a couple more guests have arrived. So there's about maybe 4 or 5 guests in there kind of mingling and chatting and scheming against one another. Most of them very strange and alien looking, although maybe 1 or 2 of them is a little more human looking. You can go back out to the central hall, no problem. And I guess just where you headed on the map as far as that goes.
Probably turn left to go down to the East Hall.
Sure. The set goal in the East Wing is make an alliance with the Blood Princess. You've already accomplished it.
All right.
So I think we might really just kind of walk around, like to really have a listen at the door, just like at least stop there in front, like maybe not with ear to the door, right, but see like whether there's something to be heard in that first door that we encounter.
I'm not going to make you make a hunt roll. It's very quiet. You don't hear anything. So.
Anything in there? If there's not, perhaps it's a good
I
place.
can't hear anything. I think Trish just gonna open the door quickly, like slowly, kind of peeking in.
This little room is a hat room. The walls are covered with hats, all shapes and sizes and times and eras and worlds, hanging by human hand-shaped hooks. There are also some mirrors in there as well.
This room will see too much traffic. We should find another.
Yes, I agree.
Go back out, turn right again. And try. Sorry, go ahead.
On the southeast corner?
I was thinking on the East Hall. First door on the East Hall. So second one, the one directly across from the game room.
Oh, that one. Okay, because there's another door as well.
Yeah.
The one that's across from the game room, that is, give me a moment. A quick listen at the door. You don't really hear anything. It's also very quiet.
Okay. Open and see what's inside.
At a glance, it appears to be a trophy room. There are 8 large cabinets filled with trophies of various shapes and sizes and accomplishments. Some sofas, a bar, that kind of thing.
Does this one look okay to you, Tris, or do you want to try the one down south?
I think if when Tris sees that room and there is some place to sit down, I think he almost collapses into one of the chairs, or yeah.
I'll
So
stagger
there-
over to the bar and see if I can get all three of us something decent to drink that's not blood.
Indeed. There are many bottles on display. Most of them are seemingly untouched. What are you looking for in particular?
Something very stiff and invigorating.
Make a hunt roll.
And I have appraisal.
Ah, good. You can take that. Yeah.
Only a 2, though. God damn it.
You're looking around, and there are various bottles of liquors and spirits that you don't recognize, and they're in very fancy bottles. You could probably take one or two of them and sell them back home, no problem.
Yeah.
But as you're looking about, you find one bottle which has a pair of eyeballs inside, floating in the liquid. I have a picture of that. There's a picture of everything. I shall post that picture. This is the most like illustration forward module. Like they have got a picture of everything.
There could be worse things in that bottle.
Yeah, there's a pair of eyeballs in there, and yeah, that's what the bottle looks like. What do, Fennec?
Try not to look at them, turn them around so they're not looking at me anymore, and pick up something I more readily recognize. It's like, oh my God, just no, not right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can take any of the spirits that you wish. So if you take a bottle of spirits, it's worth 1 gold. So
all right, well,
I think sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I make sure I have a bottle for all 3 of us so we don't have to share. And I hand one to Triss and one to Celiana.
No,
she's
she's in the library.
She's not here.
She's not there.
Yeah. I think when you come back with this bottle and it looks pretty okay, I think Triss will say, "Oh, that's a good idea. The shape we're in, I think we're each gonna need one." And he's also gonna slowly walk over there and try to find something that will numb the pain.
I say, stay away from the one with the eyes in it.
That what?
You heard me.
And I think I'm gonna use hopefully my excellent carousing skills to find exactly the right thing that Triss feels he needs right now for getting drunk enough to still be able to function and be sharp, but really, doesn't feel like all the pain in the shoulder where the mandibles.
You can take a hunt roll as well.
So let's see.
You can take 2 dice since you know your booze.
That's a 5 at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can find a really stout, a really, really stout bottle that it's a really stout bottle, and if you drink it, it gives you a temporary ruin. This temporary ruin lasts until you either lose it in some way or until the adventure is over.
You mean like one more to take before?
Yeah.
All right.
Like you can go to -1, basically.
It's just basic. It's alcoholic armor.
Yeah, precisely. You got to down it though, and you have to take tipsy as a condition.
Yeah, I think probably Triss is kind of familiar with that kind of sensation, and that's why he knows more or less how the effect will play out.
While you are examining bottles and figuring this out, you'll notice that the 2 eyeballs in the one bottle have moved, and they appear to be watching you.
I think Triss is going to turn them over again, like, or no, okay, so they have basically turned in the bottle, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they appear to be like they've floated over to one side of the glass and they're staring at you.
I think Triss is staring back, like a staring contest way for a moment.
Vanek, what are you doing in the meantime?
Resting. Seriously, just and reading that book, seeing whether it's worth
Oh, yeah.
getting into that tub.
Yeah, so you do find an entry about the bloodbaths. There's illustrations, and apparently the blood has been treated with a suffusion of various herbs and other tinctures that gives it its restorative qualities. And there are no known side effects that have been listed by the treatise.
All right. All right.
And so I guess at this point, what are we all doing? Besides drinking and resting and reading. What then?
All right. Well, once I've gotten enough of I feel like I've replenished some semblance of fluids in my body, uh, I'll drag myself out of this chair and see how Triss is doing and ask, well, there doesn't seem to be any poor effects or negative effects reported from the baths, so perhaps that's a good idea, especially if you say it helped you. So maybe we should head back there before we try to go either upstairs through the throne room or upstairs through the normal stairways on the West Wing.
Triss says like, well, Vanek, I feel if I drink the rest of this, I will be kind of in the condition to continue this exploration, but I think you need some revigoration before we can continue. And even then, I feel, well, I feel our luck might almost be running out. I feel like we might have one more chance to accomplish something great here, whatever it is that we encounter next, but then I feel I'm spent as well, and we might have to think about, and I think you've never seen Triss like this, like he has been cocky and kind of, but I think he's really like, I'm not sure I want to die here and vanish into some form of whatever dimension this is that we're in.
Well,
do you have any more tricks up your sleeve?
Well, like I said, right now I think we have more than this place has ever seen before. And the closer we get to a solution, the more difficult it will be for all of us. The Blood King definitely holds some sway here that perhaps even reaches into our fortunes, our chance to succeed. And I worry my worries are the same as yours.
At this point,
yes.
The door to the trophy room opens, and the Blood Princess comes in. Now she is actually dressed in a large sort of gown, festooned with red ribbons and jewels, and her hair is done up in like a elaborate crown, and she has a bloodstone kind of draped just at her cleavage, her purple cleavage. And she says, "Ah, there you are. I was wondering if I was going to be able to find you. I didn't know if one of the guests had managed to get their fangs in you or not. I'm happy to see that you are still with us." So, the Blood King is just getting ready to go down to greet his guests in the Great Hall. If you want to take a look around his personal quarters and chambers upstairs, now is the time to do it while he is entertaining and lording over the others.
Yes, well, I was just about to go take a bath since I have taken more than my fair share of injuries from the guests.
Well, you had better make it quick if you wish to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yes.
And she says, "Here, take my hand.
All right, I will take her hand.
We shall all go together."
Gingerly. Okay.
And she's going to lead you out the room.
Okay.
Tris, do you follow?
Yes.
And here we just cut away as you go, cut to the west to go back to the baths, to take advantage of their invigorating, the invigorating fluids within. We cut away back to the bar. The lid of the spirit's jar with the eyeballs in it opens up, and the two eyeballs use their little tendrils to climb out of the jar. And they hop down off the bar and inchworm their way across the carpet, out the door. But they don't follow you. They cut north, perhaps to report what they've seen. And that's where we'll end the session.
Oh.
Let's go to Stars and Wishes. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I think as far as the star goes, as far as stars go, I can see how, as a GM, you're sort of navigating the foibles and bad luck of the players to get the NPCs and circumstances into as advantageous a position as you can manage, and I would like to call out a star for that.
Thank you. My stars are, I just really enjoyed the sort of social nature of all the encounters. I thought that was really enjoyable. It's a dungeon crawl, but it's a factional dungeon crawl, and it's a social dungeon crawl. And I remember when I was reading it, I was thinking, you could probably do this whole dungeon without having a single fight. And that's more or less what's happened. You've had like what, 2 fights maybe? And so it was just kind of fun to see just the social encounters, encountering some of the strange guests and the Spider Queen and all that. It was good. I just like the social nature of it.
I like to see, because I think in this run, for all the danger that Trophy Gold can put characters in, it actually hasn't been that dangerous until now. The last, like all the sessions that we ran, we were very lucky with the dice and with combat and so on. I think we had a session today where we did actually have some 6s. We not all the rolls went bad, but some of the rolls that counted a lot, they went bad, losing tokens, and especially of course in the fight. And so I think now kind of Trophy Gold has shown its danger, like its teeth, and I found that to be interesting today.
Not just teeth, but
yeah.
vampire fangs.
exactly. And mandibles and whatnot. I also liked that despite this being, I mean, this mixture of having a dungeon, like a pre-made dungeon in a sense, but I still felt, because of course you have to react to the dice much more than you would if you run this with a different OSR system. It felt to me that it was kind of unclear when, or at least not completely clear when there was something that you kind of improvised out of the material or that was directly in there. And I felt that's a good kind of balance to find. So yeah, star for that. I also liked, Vanek, how you kind of went with the rat lord thing that I think it kind of fit. I think it fit with Triss' character to kind of take this kind of introductory role.
Yeah, I liked that. That was a star for me too.
Yeah.
I loved the, like, because Vanek had this like hesitancy about it, right? Like, because Vanek's not used to this sort of thing, and Trish just sort of stepped in and was like, "This is the Lord of Rats," and in fact, it wasn't the fact that you said it's the Lord of Rats that gained you access. It was the cloak, right? The cloak is, or the old cape is what got you access into the hall. But I liked that Triss sort of, like kind of stepped in there, and I like the idea of Triss even like taking some credit for like this, even though it was like 100% that cape. So I also a star for the cape. The cape added such an interesting twist to all the encounters, right? Like, because if certain characters believe you're a vampire lord, they react differently to you, right? And so that was really fun.
Yeah, definitely a giant star for Triss stepping up and helping make Vanek more spontaneous. I mean, that's not Vanek. So when Triss jumps in and goes, "Woo, we're gonna do X," it takes 2 or 3 times for Vanek to go, okay, now I'm the Lord of the Rats. I can get used to this. But the first couple times it just wasn't gonna happen.
I like that, and I mean we did have some bad rolls, like we had 2 1 in a row and so on. But that happens sometimes. So another thing that I liked was the whole scene with the mother, right? Which is it was such a close scene that it's kind of already in the past, even though it was just 2 hours ago. But because there we had 1/6 come up, and that was because I felt that Triss went also kind of on a. I feel that was like I felt close to the way I'm imagining the character now and taking this risk, because I think it could have gone very badly. But then I think, and I really was a star for it, because I was not at all expecting that the Blood King, like in the hindsight, it's a kind of likely option, but I wasn't at all imagining that would be the lost son, and so that was great.
Yeah, I did not expect that at all either. I'll take an accidental star for that one, since I forced the issue with the apparition showing up. But yeah, that was unexpected. I don't know how else we might have found that out. That's in really, really interesting story development.
Yeah, something that's cool about this dungeon is the order in which you do it matters a lot. So if you go to the Great Hall first, that changes things a lot, right? If you go to the library first and look at certain books first, like if you find that cape, right? And when you find the cape, like this is one of those dungeons where the order that you take the rooms in has a big effect on how the rest of it plays out. And so that's been kind of fun to see.
Yeah, I like that. And another thing that I liked was basically the dice, like Triss frantically trying to figure something out about vampirism in the library, and the dice just wouldn't allow it. So there's apparently only bad teenage novels, and there's just no
that's
good
that's in the
vampirism.
module. Yeah, that's in the module. Most of the books are bad YA vampire fiction, according to the module. That wasn't just me being silly. I want to throw that out there.
One thing that it's more like a question, or more that I think I'm wondering about, because of the social nature of this, and I went back to read the hunt roll post in the break that you did on the Gauntlet blog, is that because it seems like the hunt roll is not actually meant to be used much when in kind of a social situation, when you try to find out something through talking. At least that's the feeling, and that this might be a little bit influenced by me running Brindlewood Bay, because there the meddling move, of course, is a lot of times used when you ask people about something, right? Or you kind of talk with people. But it seems like the hunt roll is more physically exploring a space, and so it seemed, and that what I thought was interesting. Kind of, I was starting to wonder about that, whether what would be a situation where you might use the hunt roll in like a.
It can work. I mean, I think that especially your character, because your character is such a social character, I think if you sort of do a preamble to the scene where you're like, okay, I want to use my carousing ability to work the room and get people to tell me things, I would be down with that as a hunt roll, right? But if you're just having like a conversation with a character, especially if like your goals in the conversation aren't clear, I'm just going to talk to you like the character, and whatever they say is what they say, and maybe it's helpful, maybe it's not, but
yeah, no, I mean, maybe it feels, maybe that's also kind of very OSR in a way kind of thing, right? Like if you want to talk to people, you have to talk to people, right? Like that's kind of, yeah.
Whereas like you said, Brindlewood Bay in the between, like I have that mechanized to where, like, if you are talking with someone for the purpose of learning something, that's a die roll, right? So, and I think it can be in Trophy Gold, but I think it's how you set it up, right? I think you have to kind of
I just found that an interesting kind of difference and topic.
Because for me, for the hunt roll, there has to be like two components. There has to be what you're trying to find and what you're doing, like what you're actually doing. And so, as long as that's clear, I think a hunt roll is appropriate. So. Fabulous. Any wishes for next time?
Yeah, I don't know how to get more ruin back, but more healing potions. I mean,
well, if you take the blood baths, you'll get one back, so that's one at least.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that will be. I mean,
it's going to be. Triss has a bonus one right now.
Yeah. So we both have at least one. So.
Right.
At least, I mean, we might possibly survive one round of a fight.
Yeah, so you could go to like 7, right? You have like that extra little,
Yeah, thing. But still, I mean, that's the thing. Because for me, it's going to be interesting because the most important choice now, I think, is whether, because I have 3 hunt tokens now, so my wish is kind of, it's more about my wish is more finding out what's going to happen, because either we might spend that, so my kind of expectation, of course, is kind of we go up there and then we might spend the tokens to find maybe the heart of the Blood King, but then that might not actually lead us to find much treasure, which means that I'm still lacking 3 gold and you're still lacking 2 at least, I think, Benix. So, and that's a lot of treasure that we still have to find. Or we could just I could just convert the tokens into gold, and then we might only need to find the 2, and then we could at least get the hell out of there. But so that's going to be interesting how the session runs.
Well, you notice that like I put the Blood Princess in play at the moment when it seemed like you two were thinking about backing out, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No,
yeah. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, my brain has shut down. If you had something else to talk about, go ahead, Adrian. I'll try and remember.
No, it's just because that's kind of what I was wondering. Because I mean, so there's one more session planned for this, right? And we're probably. I mean, I know that whenever you run other sessions and players might join again, we might use this character again. But there are no additional sessions planned right now, right? For this,
we have one more, and if you choose to continue on with the adventure rather than leave, you can definitely finish it in one more session.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I was just, because this, I mean, what I like about Trophy Gold, I haven't played it that much, but what I like conceptually is that it makes sense that sometimes you just go. But of course, that makes most sense if like in an ongoing campaign where you say, okay, we didn't finish this, but then we do something else, or maybe we come back. But of course, in the way we play it, that doesn't really work the same way, right? So it's kind of and it's fine, but there's more this, okay, well, let's see what happens next time. So
I mean, I think if you ever decided to like leave and go back to the village and not return to the castle, that's a valid choice. And if we continued on, and I suspect we will at some point, I would just have another dungeon ready to go, and this one is unfinished. But leaving it unfinished has consequences, right? Because we know that the Blood King is going to apparently wage war on this world at some point. So that's just something you might have to deal with, right? That's the consequence of not finishing the dungeon. So.
My other wish is, of course, or a reminder as well, is, of course, I still have to find out what it means that I'm the blood tax for, what's her name again?
Holstein.
Yeah, Lady
Holstein.
Yeah. What's her and her new name now is something with S. I think Celine.
Simone.
Simone. Yeah. So.
Also, where's Sarku? That's my wish. Like.
Yeah. The crown is still kind of the last thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The having Triss be the blood tax for Lady Holstein / Simone. Makes me feel like leaving the castle is just postponing the inevitable. If we're going to die...
also, it's worth pointing out here, I'm not going to reveal anything, but Celiana seems to think you can't leave, right? Like Celiana has this idea that you can't leave the castle. Now, that could just be the ravings of a traumatized woman. I don't know, but sure. That's another interesting aspect of it that we haven't really explored yet. So
sure. We don't know if or how we might be able to leave. And the other thing about that is that so because that was the devil's bargain, right, with the blood tax. So it's not actually, I mean, Triss, the character, doesn't actually really know that, right? So it's so that's something we will figure out.
Except ironically, you are presenting yourself as a blood tax right now, right?
Sure.
With the Lord of Rats, so it's kind of a funny little thing there.
I'm really hoping, I guess this is kind of a wish, but it's also a star, because I'm really impressed at the interconnection of NPCs, the possibilities that we've got, because the way we could connect what the princess can do and what the vampire hunter can do to what the Spider Queen wants, and now we just have to figure out how the fungus god fits into the whole mess, because
there's that whole mess too.
And I have some thoughts. I mean, I definitely have some thoughts, but right now Vanek is stuck between I don't know what the hell to do, because Vanek is stuck between potentially, like I said, breeding spider babies, or and I don't know if I would survive that process. I never asked her that. But the other one is, even if we can't free the fungus god, Vanek's got in the back of his head, what if we just filled a bag with his spores and we had a weapon that way? That would be pretty nasty. And so he's got that in the back of his head. So
I think that's what's so fun about the module, is that's what I said when I was saying, like, the order you do things, the way you take it, just has such a big effect on like how things play out. And it's almost like an emergent puzzle in that way, right? Because the module doesn't really have any opinions or point of view about what you should or shouldn't do, to be honest. It just presents things. But in Trophy Gold especially, you get to have a little bit more like control over like sort of outcomes, and I think it's fun to kind of see this sort of emergent puzzle, this like location-based factional puzzle sort of like emerging from the gameplay, and like, and maybe it all just means nothing because you're going to leave, and that's fine if you can, but but maybe you come up with a great idea that will help you solve the dungeon without having to take any more ruin. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely want to read through this when we're all done.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, it's really fun. Okay, awesome. Well, this is great
Cool.
fun. I'm gonna let you all go, but I'll look forward to seeing how it wraps up next week.
Thank you for
See you guys next
Thank
week.
you for playing. Yep.
Indeed.